All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, May 16th, 2014. And this is Before the First Cup with Jules and Lady Pitbull on UCY.tv. Good morning, Lady Pitbull.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm looking at my wisteria out the back door, and it looks like with the torrential rain that we've had since yesterday, it's exploded to life.
Nice. That's
wow.
awesome.
There's an explosion of green out the back door.
Yeah, there's that here too. It's wonderful.
Wow. Well, that's a good way to wake up, huh?
It is. Is it rainy out there or is it sunny?
No, it's been pouring. My God, I slept actually in the living room last night just so I could specifically lay there and listen to the rain pour on the skylights.
Nice. That's awesome.
Oh, and I mean, it was torrential. It just poured and poured. We're under a flood watch right now.
Yeah, we are too. But it's sunny here today, and it's only 54 right now, so.
Yeah, it set a low of 39 last night. I even had the door open. I had the sliding glass door open because I like hearing it too, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And it was warm. In the last 2 days, it got up to the 80s. And I actually woke up sweaty, which I hate. So I thought, well, I'll just listen to the rain and I'll leave the door open. It'll be nice fresh air. And I don't know, I woke up at some ungodly hour. It was so cold. I had to actually turn the heat on a little bit and close the door. I was like, come on. It's mid-May.
Yeah, I had to turn the heat on last night too. It was terrible. It was, really, really cold. Now I'm all hot because the heat was on all night.
Yeah, I only turned it on to 60, so just a nip, you know, to get it a little warm. But hey, so guess what today is?
What's that?
My friend Sharon, that I worked with for many years, has been trying to get me in to get my hair cut for a long time. And we've been playing tag forever, and something always comes up. Well, this was like the third time she booked an appointment for me. She decided I'm going to go to see her hair lady. And so today I got to do it. So it'll be over a year since I have had my hair cut.
Wow.
That poor girl. She's going to be like, oh my God, you have so much. You would not believe how much hair I have.
It's long, huh?
I wear it up all the time. I can't even, when I take it out for a shower, I mean, it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah, I've never had it this long, but it's been, last time I had it really cut was last January. And, then I got a trim right before Mother's Day before I took my trip to, Nevada to see Heidi. So, it's past Mother's Day, so it's over a year.
It's over a year, huh?
And that was only a trim, too.
Wow. That's funny. Gringo just called you a dang hippie.
Yeah, actually, it doesn't look bad, you know, it's still all glowing red, and I wear it in my little, ponytail holder, like right on top of my head, so it's like a fountain.
A fountain
of glowing red hair.
That's awesome.
And it holds all my headphones in place.
Oh, hey, there you go.
It does. I can have multiple sets dangling off the ponytail. It's awesome.
You need to take a picture of that.
Oh, I used to have it on camera.
Oh, yeah, but not with the multiple headsets.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be cute.
Now it's so long. I mean, anything. I could just keep piling them up there.
Right.
So Sharon told the girl to find me Corvette red. And she did. So the girls had a Corvette red sitting there waiting for me.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna be even more glowing red.
Oh, I love that. It's like Corvette red. There's like fire engine red.
I just know that the lady who used to do my hair who lived across the street, who's now gone, she was the Edward Scissorhands lady. She would take like literally 2 pairs of shears, one in each hand. She must have been ambidextrous because she would just go with both hands. And she never even used her fingers to like line up the hair or anything. She would just take both hands like Edward Scissorhands doing a shrub. And I was like, what? And then she told me one time she caught somebody's ear. And I mean, these things are razor sharp shears. But the most incredible haircut you have ever seen. And so I'm really sad because they kind of disappeared. I don't know where they went. They just packed up late one night in the middle of the dark and they left. No, they did. They did. There's a dumpster outside now and the door's got a big sticker on it. So I don't know what happened. Oh, Dory's here. I thought she said her computer was broken yesterday.
Oh. Find out in a sec, I guess.
Oh, there we are. I guess it'll be all three of us today. There you go. Yeah, so anyway, she's gone. So I've just gone on boycott of not having my haircut. And the color she used to get for my hair was Corvette red.
Nice. What? Who made that?
I don't know the name of the company.
God, man, I've never heard of Corvette red. I've heard of fire engine red. That's like what
it comes in a tube. It's a big long tube. One of the professional. I mean, here's the thing that's so bad. Hair dye is so toxic.
It is.
And like I've been dyeing my hair for a long time.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm so gray. So, I don't know. I might try henna one of these days soon. So, Dodie, it didn't, you either didn't pick up or you didn't see it or I'll hit it one more time. There she is.
I used to shave my head, but I decided that I'm not going to do that anymore and I'm not going to color my hair anymore. So it's kind of like this liver brown color and, like an old yucky, like when it turns gray liver brown.
Yeah, that's kind of what mine is.
But
now.
the cool thing is that my gray hair is coming in and it's making totally awesome streaks in my hair and it looks really cute. So now I have to go in every 3 months to get it cut and I'm going to let it grow. But she's going to cut it, so that it's shaped, so it doesn't turn into a big triangle on my head.
Yeah, I'm silver. But it looks cool when you dye it red. It's like shiny silver, red sparkles. But I think we have Zori.
I'm here.
Yay. So wait, I thought you said you didn't have a computer.
No, I got this other one. My main one's still torn apart. I'm hoping to get the part today.
Oh, all right. Did I read that wrong yesterday? Didn't you send me a note saying I can't be there tomorrow? I don't know. I have so much.
No.
Oh. All right. I thought that's what it said. I thought it said my computer's broken. I can't get the part till tomorrow, meaning that, oh well, I was getting up and down between naps.
And playing with Barbie dolls.
Shit, that reminds me. I took a great picture of 2 sets of the Barbies yesterday.
Oh, really?
2 of the G.I. Joes have girlfriends now.
Oh, that's great! They scored!
They did. And the Barbies are dressed in camo.
Right on!
That's even better.
Dude, you gotta put that in the chat room. I
gotta find it.
It just made me squeal. That's great.
I gotta find a coffee picture too.
Barbie's going hunting, man. With her man.
Here's the one, I think I talked about them yesterday. They were the space Barbies.
Uh-huh.
So there's the astronaut, Barbie, G.I. Joe, and, Barbie. And then there's the one with the scar. You just barely see the scar on his face, and the other Barbie that dressed in her camo to go with him. And I changed him. Oh my God, getting his clothes off are so hard. I don't know what was the matter. Like, he wasn't flexible enough. His toes didn't flex. Barbie's real bendable.
Right.
Yeah, Joe's like rock hard and so I just couldn't, he wasn't bendable enough, so I was really having a hard time getting his pants on.
Can you imagine someone taking hand right now and listening?
Yeah, going, what?
You couldn't get his pants off because he was too stiff.
Oh my God.
Sorry. I had to say it. I had to.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Already taking the show into that direction now.
You said it, sorta. I got tears coming down my face.
See, this is what happens when three chicks do a show.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
Alright, I'm going to upload my, Barbie pairings
Yay.
imager while you guys talk amongst yourselves. No, I don't know. Do you have any stories to start out with? I have a great cup I found a couple mornings ago that I gotta dig up too.
How about, like later, this is probably for later though, that FBI thing that you sent me. It was either yesterday, I think it was yesterday that you sent me that, Jules.
Yeah, I think so. We'll go for it. I want to get back to where I,
We were yesterday.
left off yesterday, but I'm not there yet mentally. So, I need some time to get some coffee.
Well,
With Barbie and Ken.
Yeah, I gotta download these guys right now. I don't remember where I saved them.
well, let's get this out of the way. You went to the Bundy Ranch, huh, Zori?
Yeah, I did, and I'm so glad I did. I've got a couple interviews up on Facebook, but I gotta wait till I get this other machine back up and running to do the other two because I have to convert them. But yeah, I mean, everything you're hearing on, all this propaganda, it's just all lies. All of it. I mean, I don't know. The only thing I noticed there was one helicopter that flies over once a day. But other than that, it's all quiet, and there's still a lot of people there. And about them blocking, they're saying that the militia's blocking the road for people getting into their homes and stuff. I got an interview with the security there. They are not blocking any roads. The only place they're blocking is when if you're going into the Bundy Ranch, they'll stop and ask you what you're doing and call ahead. That's it. And everybody's taking turns, doing different things, and they're helping them out, like to rebuild the things that the BLM destroyed, like the water pipe. They're laying all new water pipe and rebuilding the corrals. A lot of the calves, one didn't make it, but they're trying to nurse them back. A lot of the mothers won't even accept them now because they got separated. And they're just good people there, and I don't know, it's great. I met such neat people there, and they're there for the right reason. I didn't meet any of the troublemakers. I guess I got there after that, but just awesome people, that realize this is a big thing. We can't let it just slide by. It's the only time that I can ever remember that the government backed down, and they are all expecting them to come back. But, or if they're waiting for, everybody to pull out, I don't think that's going to happen. People that have to leave, when people leave, there's still more people going there. And the community is behind them 100%. You should see every day people are coming and bringing and donating food. There's donated a refrigerator, a generator. The ones that can't be out there to support people are doing it in that way. And, this is still going on, and it hasn't just disappeared, and there hasn't been any, trouble out there as of yesterday when I talked to one, but yeah.
How many days were you there for?
I was there 2 days, because I had to go to Texas first, and I was there 2 days also, and lots of driving.
Wow.
Yeah. And everyone, it's just, I did this interview with this gentleman, Ralph, and he lives outside of Vegas. And I mean, he's a retired Marine, and he's there he said, we can't let this go away, and we can't, like you don't even hear nothing about it on the news anymore because they want people to forget this happened. And then I heard that, from Jason last night, one of the people that were out there, that the thing in Utah, they dropped the issue already without even it starting. And I think this what happened at the Bundy Ranch has a lot to do with that.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, so, I want to go back out there. I want to, remain a part of this, because to me, if you watch I watched the video on the, town hall meeting, and it was packed. People standing and people getting up and talking, and they're 100% behind, Bundy. He's the last one there. They've already ran 53, I think it is, other ranchers off the land. He's the last man standing. And they're good. It's an all-American family. The thing, they're not real rich like everybody says, oh, he's rich. No. And he says right to everybody, I will gladly pay the fees and stuff, but I'll pay them to who deserves to get them, and that is Clark County. The government doesn't own that land. It's within the state. So, yeah, it's what we've seen on the news and all that. It's not true. It's not. And they went and filed a lawsuit against the BLM for the damages done, and their sheriff for not being there to do his job. People there are upset.
Well, the court order was not for his cattle to be shot dead. The court order was to round it up and contain, and that's, those guys went and destroyed property, and they, killed cattle, so they should be sued. Yeah.
And then all these calves, they didn't pair them up, they just left them out there to starve. What kind of people can do that?
Well, your dumbasses can do that. But did you actually get to meet the Bundys?
I met the one son, I think Ryan's his name. I met him, and they didn't have the press conference, last Sunday, cause they had to go in and see the attorney. But I was thinking, when Bundy, when he did go to court, on this, he went in front of a federal judge who gets their salary, from the government. And to me, that's a conflict of interest. He should have been going up in front of a jury of his peers. It's very technical. Their lawyers are doing a great job, but yeah, I don't know. You just feel so good being out there amongst these people that are truly boots on the ground. And trust me, they are putting their lives out there on the line. You never know if the BLM or who's going to be coming back out there. So it's just, I don't know. Everyone I met out there, they were just true patriots, and every one of them, they know the danger and they're willing, this is a big thing, and people that just throw it off like it's nothing, they gotta have something wrong in their head, because,
I don't know if they gotta have something wrong in their head. I think that maybe some of us just see things a little bit differently.
Well, that's true too, and that's what freedom's all about. Everyone has their own, that can think and voice their own opinions about what's going on. And
even David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger have their own views about the way things should be.
True. And freedom is the fact that you can voice it.
Right.
Yeah. But, yeah, I want to go back out there. I really believe in what's going on out there.
I just know that I read up on what happened in Utah, and personally, I had issue with what they were doing. I thought they were taking advantage of the situation. They took their ATVs out into the back roads where I guess it was all native land, and that land there were all those in the four corners there, they have all those adobe Indian villages that are built into the rock cliffs and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's all protected.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, being an ATV rider for quite a number of years, you know exactly how badly that rips shit up. So
yeah.
To have crowds of strangers traversing their ATVs through there and then crying foul when people are like, what the hell are you doing? Their ATVs aren't allowed here because this is all protected land. And they go, oh, look, it's protected land, look. It's like The Boy Who Cried Wolf and people who complain all the time, and I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of people trying to stir up shit where shit doesn't belong. You know what? Their ATVs don't belong there. Get off your ass and walk if you want to go. Ride
a horse. I would
say
ride a horse.
Donkey. Right.
Take a horse over there. I mean,
that's why that didn't get news. That's why that didn't get news.
Anything on it because, well, this is the first I've been on. Since I got home, I don't have a TV, and the other computer's down. I just got this one up running, so I didn't really know what was going on out there, only things that I had heard. So, yeah, you're right. You
know, to me, that was not right. You don't take your ATVs, you know, and especially if it was, I don't care whose land it was. If it was my land and you were out there buzzing around 100 of you or 200 of you on ATVs, I'd be like GTFO.
Right.
It's my land, and you tear it up on an ATV, so.
Well, to be fair, Zori, all that happened while we were on the road last weekend.
Yeah.
So you probably didn't know, yeah.
Yeah, I just heard a little bit in passing, you know, the only thing I heard was that the BLM didn't go there or something, but I just caught little bits. That's why, you know, I haven't been able to see anything. And right now, if I bring up 2 pages on this computer, it crashes. So I'm still blind.
That's
but,
all right.
Yeah. Disrespect for the land is wrong in any means, you know.
Well, especially native relics. I've got a soft spot for that issue myself. Let me tell you right now.
And I mean, up here, this whole Northeast is all native, you know, I'm sure pretty much most of the country is all formerly Native American land.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
where you're sitting.
Right. But I'll tell you, especially down there, down in those cliff dwellings and stuff. I mean, talk about, what, are you people dense, you know, riding out there and you want to go damage? I was talking about when I was with Heidi, we went out to, I don't know if it was Red Rock or the Mojave, which one that all those, Indian, sculptures were, and they have, you know, they have the scaffolding that goes up so you can go up into some of the dwellings and stuff.
Yeah.
And kids had taken spray paint. You had all the ancient, designs all carved into the cliffs and everything. Kids had taken spray paint and written all over.
Dude,
I was so upset when I saw that.
Oh my God, that pisses me off.
And that's our history,
so bad.
you know? That's wrong.
Well, it's just self-destructive people who really don't give 2 shits. And so when I saw that and I read that story, I was like, all right, here we go. And now they're crying that BLM's not letting them there because it's off limits because they're Indian ruins.
Oh yeah, they should be.
Exactly. Like I said, get off your ATV and walk. No one's saying you can't go there. They're saying they don't want destructive ATVs ripping the place up, and I don't blame them.
When you could have gone in there on horseback.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot different than what happened at the Bundy Ranch. I mean, completely different.
Well, Bundy's son was involved. The Bundy son was there.
Oh, in Utah?
Yeah.
On an ATV.
They led the ATVs from the ranch, I thought, and drove them up over the 4 corners into Utah.
Now, I heard something about one of the Bundy sons were gone. I only met the one that was, came into the camp there where everybody met in the mornings, you know, but I didn't know that. Like I said, I've been out of everything, but yeah, I didn't know
Here's the thing though. The BLM came in and destroyed all their water cisterns and their cows and their cattle, but the way to go about this, even if, you know, the way to go about this is not going and destroying like another one's protected area. I mean, I understand about the tortoise situation. I get the whole thing, but this is real. I mean, did they go on a reservation? I mean, it seems like that should be like, you know, you got to respect reservation rights too.
Yeah, reservation rights. I don't know if it's on a reservation or not, but so, even still.
Yeah, it doesn't
talking
matter.
about the ruins. It's, you know, you shouldn't go and destroy something else because your shit got destroyed. That's not cool.
Right.
Yeah, it just, the whole thing bothers me, you know, that whole tortoise story, we need $1 million to keep it open and we don't have it.
We all know.
How much did we spend, BLM, to now deal with all this? Way over $1 million. Yeah, so you could have saved the tortoises 3 times over.
That's right.
And they were euthanizing them just last year because they didn't have the money.
Right.
But you know what? I learned from this gentleman, Ralph, that's been, trapped out there and everything. He said, a cow will not step on another living creature. It will go around it, just like a horse will. And the cattle and the tortoise have been there getting along for how long? Forever. Yeah. So that was just an excuse and then when that didn't work, then they changed it, and then it became about money. It's just like with the war in Iraq. One excuse didn't work, so we'll just change the excuse to another and another. They just want that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, my particular argument to all this is that those fees were not new fees. He chose not to no longer pay those fees like 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I see his point. He wants to pay it to the state. The state should have just kept their mouth shut and took his money then and then handed it to the feds and got around blowing $3 million on all this garbage that's been going on. And it would have been done. Would have been done. And then he wouldn't have been any the wiser if the state was handing his money to the feds.
But they want him off the land. They do. I mean, they've gotten every other rancher off the land there. And, he's the last rancher out there out of 53 other ranchers that buckled under.
I don't know anything about them buckling under. I know it's pretty inhospitable, and I don't know how in the radioactive flats you would even manage to find enough material for a cow to ingest. I mean, you're talking radioactive desert. So not really sure how much the cows are going to eat.
All those other ranchers were bought out.
Yeah, by doubling their fees, and there was a couple out there, and in other words, they were pressured out.
Right.
They were, and some of them were even threatened. This one guy, intimidated, I would say, not threatened. They were intimidated and kind of pressured out. And, Bundy's not a rich man either. I've seen where he lives, and it's just, he doesn't live in a big old mansion or a big nice house. It's just a little ranch house, really. It's large, but he has a large family. And, like you said, what happens if he goes away? Then what? Are they going to go after someone else's? That's Nevada's land. I don't care.
Where does it stop, right?
You're right, and he's putting food on people's tables. Meat. And, then the more he loses, then the higher the meat goes. And that, we're already seeing that.
Well, it also becomes the big ag businesses, pushing out the little guys all over the place. And that's a problem all over this nation. So I understand. You go there
and all you see is vastness of land not being used for anything,
Well, that's what they want. They want to make it all pristine, all without human, all without, they want to make it all back sustainable. They want to, they want to push us all into compact cities, and we know this.
Right.
And so it's a land grab, and somebody's got to put their foot down somewhere. I guess that's my view of it.
Right. And the fact that can you remember any time that the government backed off at all from when, against the citizen? What did BLM do with guns?
I don't think that you guys, you're all waving victory signs around, but I think that you're going to end up being the losers. They got all your pictures. They know who all of you are. So they're like, let them think they won.
Right.
I don't know.
You gotta step up. I mean, where do you step up then? I mean, where is, everyone I guess has to decide that for themselves, where their line is going to be where they're going to stand up and say no more.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like us doing this show. We aren't in, it's obvious that, if they want to come get us, they know right where to come. But,
sure.
And the same going with that. But I guess, this is my line. And I'm not telling anyone else if they should do it or not do it. It's, but enough is enough.
Right.
And what is an agency? Like, they're supposed to manage land. They aren't supposed to go out there and be pointing guns at citizens. And They shouldn't have guns at all. I mean, I don't think they should.
Well, instead, I mean, all the rest of them are loading up on submachine guns. The USDA just had a giant freaking
Yeah, I was
request.
just getting that story up.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the BLM should have guns since a lot of their land is out west and you have lots of crazy ranchers with guns. So, I think it's a good idea, personally. If I were a BLM agent, I'd probably want a gun. Or you're out in the wilderness and you got wildebeests running around, freaking chupacabra.
Sure,
Yeah.
sidearm, absolutely. Sidearm's perfectly fine, but
You know, chupacabras are everywhere.
but not like giant requisitions of freaking submachine guns and
Well,
freaking
no,
30
that's the
round
Department of
mags,
Agriculture
you know?
or the Department of Education.
Right,
Right, or the Social Security.
Right,
Urban Housing and
exactly.
Development, yes.
BLM, I have no problem with a BLM person carrying a little sidearm in case of a snake. That's perfectly fine in my book, but requisition biz ops and the feds, you know, for all this crap, I have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
It's totally insane. These bastards. Stop it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. But we'll see.
Alright, on to something else, huh?
Yes. What was that you were just saying about something? You said something that something you were just going to bring up or something.
Oh, the Department of Agriculture story?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday, but I don't think we had one to read.
Oh yeah, I read it, remember? I totally read the whole thing. Well, everything that I had, anyway.
The one
it
thing,
was a short story, so.
yeah, RT put one out last night.
Oh, right on.
But I see that it's referencing WND. You know, someone else brought that up to me yesterday. And that's Corsi's site. I mean, I remember in the very beginning when I first started this and they were doing the Obama birth certificate.
Obama.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, of course he published all the stuff. But after that, there were so many things that came. Now, I'm still going to argue after I downloaded that birth certificate myself, because remember in those days, and maybe you don't remember, I was an Obama head. I was still brainwashed in those days, and I would not talk about the birth certificate, just like every other Obama head. Blah, 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 I'm not listening. Until they uploaded it to the whitehouse.gov website and then said, here's the birth certificate for all you doubters. I was like, hey, all right, I'm gonna look now. Cause I wouldn't even look. I didn't want to hear it. I was doing, what's that syndrome called? When you won't listen to anything someone has to say because you already know. Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're saying. I lost the word though.
I know, it was right there, now it's gone.
Don't.
Not enough coffee. Come on and chat.
A denier.
No. It's, damn, it starts with a C, I think. Come on, when you know something and someone tries to tell you and they won't listen. Oh well.
Okay,
I guess
go ahead.
we lost the Cupid doll today. But anyway, so I said, hey, all you haters out there, now I'm gonna download this and I'm gonna show you. So I downloaded it and opened it, and it had all the layers. And I mean, I showed you guys that before where the mother's signature is cut in half. There was no Xerox. That was half of the mom's signature was digital and half of the mom's signature was scanned in on a scanner, formerly analog. I mean, I could see that. I'd been doing graphics for enough years to be able to see that that's exactly what they did. So that, if there was a catalyst that was like waves, Fukushima was one that got me here, but that was the second blow. And that like shattered, that was like the glass wall with the sledgehammer.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I was like, you mother! You know, I think I did that show about it being a relationship. And
yeah, you feel betrayed.
Very betrayed. And that's one red button issue that I've dealt with my whole life. So, you know what? there were some expletives that flew after that because I voted for him. I never voted before in my entire life. And he, with his psychopathy, somehow managed to weasel me to believe him because I would never believe any of those assholes.
Oh,
well,
my
because he
God.
was saying things that we wanted to hear.
Right, and that's what psychopaths do. They
Mhm.
say exactly what you want them to say, so then you just don't pay attention to any of the peripheral. They become the perfect person. And he weaseled everybody. So yeah, after, my dad the whole time he's like, Jules, there's something wrong with that dude. Blah, blah. I'm like, stop it. So, in the end, I had to admit, A, I was wrong.
Right.
And B, this dude totally bamboozled me. I was so mad.
Well, you weren't alone there. He bamboozled most of the country.
Well, that's why I'm still here now. Because, you know what? He broke my trust. So, I think we should and, look at the corruption now. It's rampant everywhere.
Oh,
and we thought Georgie Porgy was bad.
Oh my God.
I couldn't stand him and his cronies.
Oh, I hated
that. On to that.
I agree with what you said yesterday. I just don't know if I could stomach the Clintons either. I mean, they're both.
Oh, what a horrible choice.
It's like first, first and second, like the Bushes are the first crime family. I'd say the Clintons are the second crime family. Well, and the Rockefellers. I mean, put the Rockefellers above the Clintons. Let's make a top 5 list.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Cheney at the very top, man. That man is so evil.
No, the Bushes are ordering him around. He answers to them.
Dickie. He's on a remote control.
He is, dude. He's the cyborg.
I don't even think he's human anymore.
His heart's not human. His heart's a freaking pacemaking. Whoa.
What do you guys want to bet?
Every soul he may have had is gone.
What do you guys want to bet that they're doing that young blood transfusion on him?
Oh God, dude, they're doing it on all those freaks. They're all into the satanic cults. They're constantly drinking little babies' blood, dude. I'm telling you, this is what happens. They do that. They don't even need transfusions because they freaking drink it and they consume it. That's what the Queen does. I mean, I swear to you.
I still haven't seen pictures of them doing that, so I hold my disbelief. But I told you there was a little crack. There was a little crack in the armor when all those stories came out about taking the blood out of young mice and pumping it into old mice, and that G11 protein made the old mouse young. And if they pumped the old blood into the young mouse, it made the young mouse old. I was like, no way.
Well, think about it though, Jules. That's the whole, vampire culture. I mean, and now all this, all these vampire movies come out and, all these teenagers are completely obsessed with this vampiric death culture. And it's being pumped out into the social media and everybody's teenagers now. If you have a teenager right now, they're totally into that scene.
But don't you think that that's more kind of like the way, the hardcore underground punk scene was to us when we were growing up because it's shocking, kind of scary, but
and I thought that
little perverse.
I came from that. I came from that.
Yeah, me too. So
I totally and I totally know what you mean, but I realized, just as you realized after you voted for Obama that you were wrong, I realized, that whole mind control concept of the punk scene is wrong. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I still love punk. Shit, I'm going to see the freaking Meatmen and Gangrene this weekend, I think.
Okay.
If I can afford it. But, I'm still into the scene, but I have a different mindset. I went to see a heavy metal show, a couple weeks ago, and everybody holds their hands up in the devil horn syndrome, or that devil horn symbol, and, I just don't do that kind of crap anymore. And you know what I mean? So I'm changing my behaviors within that, and it just helps to understand the mindset of the mind control, just like they use the rap scene, to literally, keep control of black people in the inner ghettos. You know what I mean? That whole thing, you know, the Bloods and the Crips and all that, getting into gangs, it's all a form of control. So, and it's all a form of getting us to fight each other. But with the blood thing, it's so, and it's like an ancient practice to drink the blood of the younger people. If you're an old, you know, wrinkled out bag of sack of human being, you know what I'm saying, dude? I mean, it's an old, they've known about this forever. They're just doing it in the freaking lab now. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It all gives me the creeps.
And it's just, it's this whole death culture that's there and in place. I talked about it, and you weren't on that morning, Jules, and it was May Day. Remember when I talked about that, Zori?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So.
I mean, the Aztecs are probably, of the ancient cultures, the Aztecs used to like rip out beating hearts and do shit like that. Yeah. But, you know, I don't know if I've ever really read anything that said that they did it for longevity and there were always offerings to the gods. But,
I know somebody that was a victim of satanic ritual abuse.
Yeah, but, you know, well, that's not saying that that's the queen. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of freaks out there that do all kinds of freaky stuff that aren't affiliated with anyone else. They just have genetic defects that makes them do freaky shit, you know?
Ask any Satanist if they think that drinking blood will keep them young forever. That's a whole thing.
I don't even think you have to be a Satanist to think that. I mean, obviously you can be a scientist now too.
Well, I don't know. I think, I don't know. See, I don't know. This is just one of those rumors that are out there, but.
Right, and I just hate talking about stuff that I haven't seen any documentation on, that's all. Not saying it's not possible. It's just that I haven't seen anything that would prove to me. Now, here's one thing that I have seen. This whole child, pedophile ring that everyone talked about when I first started doing this. I was like, come on. Well, more and more has come out now between the Vatican and the freaking, what's the dude? I think he's dead now, the Pennsylvania, coach.
Yeah.
What was his name? I don't even remember his name. But you know, all the shit that he did. There have been enough stories now, CPS, you know, between, children getting passed around or disappearing or people getting caught. For me to go, you know what? To me, it does look like, and now it's come out. I mean, there's this human, shipping slavery ring that's global. And I mean, I know I almost got caught up in, and disappeared back in 93 down in Little Rock, Arkansas.
You almost got disappeared? What's up with that?
Yeah. Well, I think I told the story. That was my first cross country trip.
Yeah.
No? Well, after I got back, I told the story, but maybe I was just doing the show by myself, where they tried to break into our hotel room the 4th of July weekend. My car broke down, so we didn't even have a car. And my roommate was walking around all dressed stupid, and I kept telling her, you know, you dress like you don't want to be messed with. So anyway, we had our doors all jammed shut with chairs, and I had smashed full beer bottles sitting on the bed, on the edge of the bed, bouncing with both my legs. I was so hyped up with 2 broken beer bottles, one in each hand, holding them by the neck going, come on, you motherfucker! Oh, it was not.
Who were these guys though?
People who were running the hotel and all their cronies as we're hearing the hooker over the back, or who knows who she was, as she's screaming and they're slamming her head into the wall and then sticking her head underneath the faucet, and you're hearing her screaming going, blah, 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 blah.
Oh shit.
Oh God, it was awful. And so maybe
human trafficking is one of the big major problems that people don't seem to talk about.
Maybe 6 or 8 months later, after I was back home, there was a big expose on 60 Minutes talking about the human trafficking ring that went right through there, the main drag. And I'm not going to say the name of the hotel I was in where that happened, but they were the hotels. So it's a main interstate. All the truckers went through there, and there was some stuff going on. And my mother's like, oh my God, isn't that where all that stuff happened to you? And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. She's like, thank God you didn't disappear. I think that's what would have happened.
Yeah, I've had friends, truckers that have stayed in, they'll go in, they'll get a room for the night, and people come to your door and offer you hookers and stuff. I mean, it's big, big, big business, this, human trafficking.
Yeah, they come through here, in Dexter too. There was a gal that got abducted and right from here.
Well, look at those 3 girls that were held in captivity 18 years and no one knew.
Oh, I know. Oh, that's so bold.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that.
Teach your daughters and sons to always be aware of their surroundings because that's where they get them.
That's what I'm planning on doing, putting her in karate.
Good, she's been
I want her to be able to, like, twist someone's head off if she had to.
No, taekwondo, man.
That's all it's gonna take, mother. Come on, bring it on! No, I've always wanted to be able to break a board with my hands.
Yeah.
They have kids in karate as young as 5.
Yeah, I saw they started it that young, but.
And then that way they learn also, that's a very, disciplined thing. So they learn a lot of discipline and control of your emotions, I mean, it's wonderful, I think. Very character building.
Yeah, where I practice, my self-defense is they have taekwondo class before mine. And, what are the odds? My maiden name, I'm not going to mention my maiden name on air, but this kid and his sister in the taekwondo class had the same freaking name that I had before I was married, and it turns out that this kid shares my grandfather's name. And then it turns out, like, that we could be related to these people. So it was really kind of an odd situation there that this kid has my grandpa's name, but he's kind of a badass. He's been in this taekwondo class for a while, and he's like, he's only like, he's like 7 years old, so, and he's like, wow, he's a pretty cool kid. I like that. I like them a lot. They're great.
Here's something that I wanted to talk about just briefly, going back to our original conversation with all the things that were going on down in Nevada. And I was listening to Vince's show last night with all those people that were yelling over the top of each other, and talking about how they were doing all these supply lines and things. It's nice that people can all come together, but I really wish that people would... What the hell? Hold on. My whole computer locked up, so I had to come to the other machine, and now there's ads playing. I see stories every day about people who, we talked about Obamacare, how many people have lost their insurance or can't afford it anymore. How, high are all the food prices going now with all the slaughters of these animals and the droughts and everything going on, that people can't afford food, or at least decent food. How many people are finding out that they're going to be homeless now because, rents are going up or insurance rates are going up or whatever. So why are we out there helping these people is what I want to know. Shouldn't we be helping each other? They're like, oh yeah, we're helping each other. Well, yeah, but we're helping one dude who, great, alright, maybe they're gonna come for other people's land, but you're helping land over starving people or people dying of tumors who can't afford insurance, or, you know what I mean? Like, when I really started to think about, as far as weighing the importance of this situation over 10,000 other situations that I could think of in my head, how important would this be in the grand scheme of things? Especially if you can get such a great, huge network of people sending supplies for all kinds of stuff. Then why aren't we helping the local food shelters? If this is so easy, why aren't we doing stuff like this all the time? Just call us. We'll be there. Any event you have, we'll be there. I hear the girls say, well, why aren't you there all the time then? If you guys have all these resources and ability to get all this stuff, then why aren't we helping people who really need it every day?
Good point.
You know, that gets me every week, and I'm not even working, and I have all the money that comes out of the network. Every week I still have my donations going to all the animal shelters that I've been supporting for the last 15 years. I send money every week.
Wow.
You know, I would take in every stray animal if I could, but I can't.
Yeah.
And before I got married, I was dubbed going to be the crazy cat lady. Or wait, most likely to be the crazy cat lady.
That's funny.
Got around that though. I tell Paul that's what he did. He saved me from being the crazy cat lady. But you know, I'm an Aquarian, so Aquarians are humanitarians. That's all we do. At our own expense, we help people, and we can't help it because it's just really ingrained into our daily being, you know what I mean? But then we resent it because we never get time for ourselves, you know? And that happens to me daily. But I just was listening to these people going on and 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 on. You know, now we're gonna get supply lines together to go to this Washington thing. Well, it's just so great, but where are you people the other 364 days of the year?
Fair point, Jules.
You know,
It's
maybe it's not
that.
homeless people in South Carolina because you don't like them, but hey, there's probably homeless patriots everywhere that could use your help.
Sure. And it's true.
You know, I don't know. I just was thinking that, and when I looked at, you know, Bundy's got a house over a roof over his head, and he's got food to eat and whatever. I mean, he obviously wasn't hurting, and everyone's bringing him donations, or, you know, the people who were there. I don't know. When I look at things, I sometimes get very angry at priorities.
Well, I do know some people that would give the shirts off their back to help someone.
Right.
I know a lot of people like that, and that do that every day of their lives. Like, they collect stuff because it could be, you know, somebody could need it in the future, or want it, or whatever. And I do know people that actually do this. So, I respect them for it. You know what I mean? Even though they might look like crazy freaking hoarder or something like this, but the heart is still in the right place. You know what I mean?
Well, right. And I'm not saying the heart's not in the right place. I'm just calling out the question that, I mean, these people were so proud of themselves for, you know, being able to support what was going on and getting all these donations and everything. Like, this was such a big deal. And it is. If this is the first time they've ever done this, wow, that's awesome. You know, give you a pat on the back. But shouldn't this be beyond people bitching about something else they see as an injustice? There are people that have massive injustices happening to them every day that are voiceless, that nobody's paying attention to.
Right. Well, it's totally fair, you know? That's fair. Fair.
By the way, I just had to click over to the Before the First Cut page from, on this other computer, since that other one's completely locked now, so I won't be able to play any clips, I guess.
Oh, dang.
But you're gonna see that the zombie bunny has been replaced with a t-shirt that says, "Don't annoy the crazy person." And, if you click on that, it takes you to that very offensive, highly offensive t-shirt site. But you know what?
Cool.
I signed up as an affiliate yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome. Good for you.
So the ones that say, like, go F yourself.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that's like, I probably won't put that ad all over the website, but it's good for our page. And
Those t-shirts were crazy.
Oh my God.
Like, bend the bitch over, you know?
I was like, oh my God. Yeah, they were insane.
Funny.
Those were, and if you even go into like any of the pages where there's the FAQ or anything like that, like, did you read how they wrote it? Like,
no.
Oh my God, any of their text is like, you MFer, blah, 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 blah. It was too funny. I had to laugh. So I signed up as an affiliate. Also that Spicely, I put the Spicely ad in there. That's the place where I found the 50 pounds of organic, turmeric for the best price. I found it better than anybody else. So
Wow.
I signed up with them too. I'm going to buy
Right on.
turmeric through them.
That's awesome.
But anyway, I don't know. So that's all I was saying, Zori. I mean, you heard them all talking yesterday, and everyone's all proud of themselves and going to help for any event. But shouldn't these people be maybe all pulling together if they got people all over? And let's try to, help a local community or something. I mean, all the food banks are stretched to the point where, they're concerned about how they're going to feed people because there's so many people that have to now resort to that.
We have to start somewhere, and like she said, they're trying to get more of a network so that if you're in need, you get a hold of them and they will do the best to get what you need to you. I mean, it's a lot more than a lot of people are doing for anyone, and they're not donating. It's where it's got to start somewhere, and I give them credit for starting. They have 3 or 4 things going in different directions. So, you can't feed everyone. You can try, but, I don't know. It's doing something. So, I hope it works out that they can, eventually get help to everyone. I wish everyone who's going hungry could have food. And if it was in my power, I would see to it. But, you got to start somewhere. I think that's what they're doing. I don't know. I could be wrong, but, it's a start. People taking care of each other, maybe it'll grow. Maybe more people will catch on.
Maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I just have a problem with those people catching on and trying to start an American insurrection and supposedly in my name when I'm not agreeing with it. That causes me a little bit of heartburn. Like what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now.
Yeah, well,
if they show up with guns there, all I'm going to say is if they show up with guns there, whatever happens to them, they deserved.
Well, I didn't hear anyone mention guns. Guns are banned out of Washington.
Dude,
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Sorry, we were freaking talking about that. Remember the militia meeting that I went to? They were talking about that.
Right, and all the militias are going there, so.
Yeah, apparently
and I heard them saying on the radio yesterday, oh yeah, just like when you were with Bundy, it's the same thing. So they all showed up with guns. That dude said that. That dude.
Wow. Nobody I talked to were taking any weapons.
Well, if they do, whatever happens, they deserve, because that would be absolute utmost stupidity.
You know what's really cool, and I'm kind of sitting kind of pretty right here, is because I signed my name to a document saying that no way in hell will we be a part of that, and we freaking have copies and so, and we sent it to our so-called commanding officer of Michigan, but at least my name is on that, and I walk away.
Well, here's the thing. There's no issue with marching on Washington. I think millions of us should. Millions of us. And we should all lock arms and sit. Let's have a big fat sit-in like the old days, all right? And let's surround them so the cars can't drive, block all the traffic. But it's not going to be peaceful. People are cocky.
Yeah, they're pissed.
I don't trust people. Honestly, man, I wouldn't go to one of the way things are right now and all these whack jobs running around with guns. I would not go to one of those events.
Snipers.
Absolutely not. Well, not just snipers. I mean, there are a lot of lunatics in this movement, okay?
Yeah, it's true.
It attracts lunacy. If you haven't noticed, look around all the people you've met. I've met a few lunatics in my time.
Yes.
And it makes all of us look bad when people like that come out and start showing their lunacy. And I wouldn't put my back facing any of those people running around willy-nilly with guns. When I run around with people willy-nilly with guns, they're people that I know well, that I know are somewhat stable.
Yeah. Somewhat, at least.
Well, at least as stable as me sometimes.
There you go.
But this whole thing scares me because I just don't know. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I just don't think that everyone that's involved with these movements has all the cards in their decks.
Well,
right.
That's true with any movement, but with the standoff.
Yeah, but any movement, they're not running around with guns, Ori.
Well, the militia had guns, but they all went forward with their hands in the air. And now, there are a lot of level-headed people out there. They don't
I'm not
want
saying there's
violence.
not, but there's a lot of people that aren't level-headed that gravitate to these things because that's what they want to do, is start the next revolution.
Right, and that's why a lot of them levitate towards being policemen and politicians too. There's wacko people everywhere.
Well, the ones that are usually doing that and going totally psycho are usually the feds anyway.
Right, trying to start trouble.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know. Our entire society is full of psychopaths. So I don't think it matters what job you have.
Right.
Running around with a bunch of strangers and loaded weapons, to me, does not sound very safe. Up until this point, most protests in the United States did not have people running around with firearms. At least that we were aware of.
Right. The police abused the hell out of them.
Well, I was at a protest. I didn't see anyone get themselves beaten up. I saw 700 people get arrested, but there was no one that got beaten up out of those 700 that I remember.
That's an interesting kind of point, I guess. What if people did show up with weapons to a protest? The cops wouldn't really be able to rough them up.
They would think twice at least.
Well, they would, wouldn't they?
No, I think the 93-year-old granny was probably evidence as to what would happen.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Shoot first, ask questions later. Isn't that how they're trained?
That's right.
They tell you to drop
this is not going to be good.
It's twice you're going to get a drop it, and then you're going to get popped.
Right. I think you're right. Oh my God.
What? Firefox crashed so bad that it won't even, now that I've completely crashed it, lost all my links, and reopened it, it doesn't go anywhere.
They're just going to crash this whole internet, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't go anywhere. It just sits there and spins and goes to no web pages. So I guess we won't be able to play clips today.
Right. They're going to crash the freaking internet, and then you have to pay to get on the new one, and that's how it's going to go.
Oh, we have to pay to get on the old one.
That's true too. Well, I have to pay even more.
Actually, the net neutrality thing, I really wanted to play one of those freaking clips today because there was some movement on that. Maybe, let me see. Maybe, Google, Chrome will go there. Let me see if I can go to YouTube here. If I can at least use the video feed. Hey, I might be able to do it through Chrome.
Cool.
And then just hit the video feed and go find the ones, which, none of them are on my page now, so I have to scroll through all of these, but, I do want to find the thing about the net neutrality. Here we go. Let me pull myself in. I don't know how this is going to really affect us, to be honest. There were many things that I've been watching for the last 10 plus years in regards to net neutrality, and we've been fighting it for a long time. And who did I hear talking? Was it DB and Nick the other night? And they were talking about this, the optical internet, doing the quantum internet, and being able to, I don't know. I've been in tech a long time, and I never heard of what they were talking about. So I guess I'll have to look into that. But the quantum, yes.
After an appeals court in January threw out the FCC's net neutrality regulations, Chairman Tom Wheeler drew up a new proposal released today. Now, on its website, the FCC says it seeks to develop and implement high-level, flexible rules of the road for broadband to ensure that no one, not the government and not the companies that provide broadband service, can restrict innovation on the internet. What we're seeing here outside the FCC today is on-the-ground activism versus well-funded lobbying efforts by broadband providers.
We have a legitimacy of democracy crisis in the United States because the money's ruling, not the people. And that's what's happening here, too. Comcast is ruling, not the people. If the people ruled, it'd be a public utility, it'd be for the public purpose.
The reason today's vote is so important is whatever's in the rules they put forward today, that's all they can do. They can ask questions about different options, but if it's not included in these documents, it's not on the table. So the good news is they're asking a few better questions, because of all the public pressure. So this is a document that has changed a lot because they're hearing from so many people. The bad news is they're still favoring a path that would fundamentally change the internet, and that hasn't changed yet. And in order for it to change, a lot more than the 3 million people who've already spoken out are going to have to keep getting louder.
I think this is setting a precedent and a dangerous one. We want to make sure that the internet is affordable, accessible for everyone in this country. And right now, the truth is that thousands and thousands of people are still on the wrong side of the digital divide and can't get on the internet. We need to change that and close that gap.
The proposed rules would ensure, 1, transparency. All ISPs have to disclose to their subscribers and users relevant information as to how they govern their network. 2, no blocking of legal content. And 3, no unreasonable discrimination. ISPs cannot act in a commercially unreasonable manner to harm the internet, including favoring the traffic from an affiliated entity. Well, there's plenty of room for argument in number 3, according to tech companies big and small who fear the backroom deals cut with telecom giants to undercut the public interest. Companies such as Google and Netflix don't want to pay cable companies to reach customers. And smaller startups without the funds to pay fear they could be left in the slow lane of the internet superhighway, so to speak. Today opens another chapter in this debate. With Wheeler's notice of proposed rulemaking made public, that public will have a chance to weigh in to help the FCC flesh out how the commissioners intend to vote. Wheeler says hopefully that'll happen by the end of the year. But any decision made is sure to hit the courts over and over again. Large companies with deep pockets touting free enterprise, wanting to fight off the small guys who feel, as the founder of Reddit put it so succinctly, that the internet is essentially a superhighway. There should not be fast lanes for people just because they can afford it.
And I am going to say bullshit. You know, here's where my issue has always been with this. When this first all started, they fought against being able to give priority to companies who could pay more to suck up more bandwidth, okay? But the problem is, as a cable provider, let's say, or an internet service provider, the company that I worked for was an internet service provider for many years. We had a pop downtown with all the OC12s running in, okay? So I know a lot about this. Thing is, you only have so much bandwidth on your core router. So with the advent of streaming video and things such as Netflix and YouTube, I mean, we did internet long before those days. Okay, once all that stuff started coming, streaming video requires tons of bandwidth. And if you're an internet service provider and everybody is streaming video, let's say, that affects everybody else, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I mean, we're already kind of doing this now. You want 1 meg upload, you pay X amount a month. You want 10 meg upload, then you pay Y dollars a month, right? You're gonna get better speeds if you pay more. And they're crying foul to that. I don't think that's foul to that. You wanna be a power user, then you pay for it. And I don't see how that should, be a detriment to anybody. I don't see why Netflix should not have to pay for using an internet service provider's service for their profit, mind you. They're not paying for the internet. They're just paying for the streaming service. But they're sucking up all your bandwidth as an internet service provider. Does that make sense? Like, let's say I'm Netflix and I'm making $7 a month for all my subscribers to have access to my video library. And while they have access to my video library, I honestly, I don't know how big each of those files are, but let's say it's, a gig a piece or something for an HD movie. So every single movie that every single subscriber of Netflix plays is going to be sucking up a gigabit of bandwidth by playing this movie, but they're not paying anything additional to their internet service provider. Now, granted, they might have a cap, and I think that's why they're starting to think about caps. Caps suck. We don't want caps. Comcast has been the one ISP that traditionally has started tinkering with caps. That's where the big danger is. Another big danger, and I don't see anyone talking about this, but this is in the tech industry. This was always one of our big things, is being able to select whose traffic you're going to let run across your network. So, though the Netflix thing is one, and they're sucking your bandwidth, here's another one. What about Skype? That was huge. When Skype first came out, there were other internet service providers that had their own VoIP platform. And I don't remember which one it was, maybe it was AT&T or Sprint, one of those providers were like, whoa, wait, we got our own solution. And so we don't want you using this third-party solution over our network, so they would block the port number. So Skype couldn't operate over that ISP. And they called bullshit on that. So they're not letting that happen. But this whole thing, I mean, I think that if corporations want to pay more and you want to give them more bandwidth and you want to set them up like another private entity that connects to the backbone, but you're going to set them up with another router that has, big ass, and they do that now. I don't even see where this question is. I sold networks. I built networks. And that's what I did. I set up private networks and we brought in an internet connection. You could do Metro Ethernet from one end of the country to the other using broadband through a nationwide service provider like Time Warner, let's say. You'd have to have a provider that has locations and pops everywhere, but I could literally sell them broadband speed between their New York office and their LA office if you went with a large provider. But you're going to pay through the nose. And it was like $1,200 a month for something like that.
Wow.
But shouldn't they have more bandwidth if they're going to shell it out?
Well, you're going to sure.
So why are they crying? This is what gets me. They're like, well, if you have more money to spend, you shouldn't get more internet. It should be, everyone has access. Well, everyone does have access. But if I'm a company that, I employ 10,000 people and all those 10,000 people needs to have internet and I pay for it and I go through my ISP, I don't see anything wrong with that.
No, fundamentally, I don't either.
Anybody can get a dial-up. There used to be all those free dial-up accounts. Remember, like Net Zero and
oh yeah, I used
like
Net Zero.
I did too. All that stuff existed at one point.
Well, nothing's free now.
Well, now you have Wi-Fi. Yeah,
yeah. Go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Yeah, you can buy those little Wi-Fi converter thingies you put in your computer or whatever.
Or like
as a card.
That if you have a laptop, you can go into McDonald's now and get Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess we'll see. The big thing to me about net neutrality was not being able to block traffic, and like Netflix is totally different because they are a bandwidth hog, and broadband is all shared bandwidth. So in your neighborhood, you probably have 20, 30, 40 houses all home back to one pop. Okay, all your cables are run back to like one, they call it a central office, but it really isn't. Yeah. It's just a pole, just like you used to have for the phone network. Probably that little gray post that's in the back of your neighbor's back corner of their yard. That's all you guys are all in there, but that all homes back to one port at the central office of your internet service provider. That port is probably a big fat honkin' Cisco router, and that big fat honkin' Cisco router probably has a maximum backbone speed of, 10 terabits or something. And so you and all your neighbors are on a big shared hub. So if little Johnny next door comes home and decides to start streaming Netflix, and then his sister downstairs decides to start streaming her Xbox video game, Friday night. Yeah, it's going to affect your entire neighborhood. So, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, they could go to a switched infrastructure. DSL is switched, just so you guys know. So even though, DSL runs on old school phone lines, like Cat 3 phone lines, and you're limited by distance, it was only a few hundred meters, I believe. I don't know. I don't remember the numbers. I used to, but it wasn't a very long distance from the actual box in your neighborhood to your house, because the distance limitations with the speeds on the cable, you were in a switched infrastructure. So if you got 10 megabits per second, you always had 10 megabits per second. None of your neighbors sucking Netflix would affect your speed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
But, I don't know what they're doing on core routers anymore. I don't do that, but I think I might be soon. I've decided I might have to be. I might have to go back into the lair of the dragon.
Along here, like in California, where the fiber optics is I mean, you have. I don't know how to understand how they plan on the second internet.
Well,
It still
fiber is
confuses
different.
me.
Fiber
Yeah, it
is
is.
different because you can do something that's called multiplexing, where you could double, quadruple, 10 times the speed of the path in the fiber. And, fiber you have, if I remember correctly, they were 56K, like we used to use it for, audio, for doing voice. But how many were in a bundle? Oh God, it's been so long.
I remember 56K, yeah.
Yeah, but they were in bundles, and then you had,
Right.
and that's how you did like old school. ISDN was one of those strands of fiber optics. But it's a lot different now with this photonics, and now looking at, this, quantum. Quantum is all using light, and on and off as your zeros and ones. So,
Yeah, I mean, with fiber optics, it is instant. I mean, if your computer's running right, which mine aren't at the moment, but I click on something and it's there. I mean, faster than anything I ever had with any other thing. And there's so much can be done with fiber optics. In Japan, they've been using it to bring light into their apartments for years because, they're so crowded that's the only way that some of their apartments can get light. I mean, there's so many uses for it.
well, it's been around for at least the last 20 years that I've been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's all trenched under all your cities. There's the inner loop, they call it, usually around every metropolis.
Right.
And then your ISPs are typically in the downtown area. And then they drop their main connection to the backbone from there. But, as far as like Google is trenching fiber now all over. I think they were in Kansas, and Austin, I think, is the next city that they were going after. And they were planning on having this super fast fiber internet that I don't think was going to be free, but it was going to be an example of, like the new way. But here's a question I asked a long time ago. What happened to all that federal funding that was out there that everybody blew? Because I know a couple of the ISP owners that got some of that cash to go lay the fiber in all the rural communities. Where the hell is that?
Yeah,
I don't see
good
that.
question.
I don't see cheap internet down in our southern tier here where they showed the maps that all that fiber was being trenched.
Yeah, they put the fiber in here almost 10 years ago, way before anyone started using it. But what stopped them a lot, it was a long process because they were having to go through, there was property fights and stuff, But yeah, they put it in a long time ago, but it wasn't offered.
Right, they call
for
it dark fiber. And
Yeah.
most of the municipalities, anytime they're doing road work or a major construction project, if they didn't have it in there, they would put dark fiber in with the hopes that someday in the future, either they would get the city hooked up or they would start providing high speed for people.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, 'cause here I can get it, but my landlady that lives, in the next town up, can't get fiber optics, yet it's running right through here. It's AT&T put it in here. If you're not with AT&T, you're not getting fiber optics here.
Right, because you need to have one of those little central offices that then hands it
Right.
out to the neighborhood. So, and that's got to be tied to a switch port off the core router at the internet service provider. And those ports are premium, just so you know. A blade like that goes into one of those Cisco routers. I mean, I've seen them for $69,999. So almost $70,000 a blade. And you're
Damn.
looking, oh man, $500,000 routers I'd configure. And that is for a big core router. So, when companies like Netflix cry saying, oh, now the internet service providers want to try to charge us for sucking up all their bandwidth. Well, you need to understand how expensive the equipment is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so if you're sucking all my bandwidth dry, now all of a sudden all my paying customers that are paying my bills are crying the blues because there is no speed. Netflix is making money off of my backbone that they're not paying me anything to utilize.
Exactly.
And that's where the big problem comes in. So I say screw it, man. But the problem is that companies like Netflix then are going to say, all right, fine, we'll pay for it. And here, guess what? Our service is no longer $7. It's $29.95.
Right.
Yep. It's going to be it.
You're darn right. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. So that's why these guys are crying about, oh, you got to keep it so everyone can get internet, because it's going to get passed down. But I still think companies like Netflix that are getting, and I mean, I'm sure that their stock's doing great. Well, yeah, when you didn't have to, they had to do the content delivery network, which again is a huge dollar value in and of itself, to provide who knows how many hundreds of thousands of HD videos streaming simultaneously. You know, that's gotta be one big ass system, or they're paying mucho, dineros to a company like Amazon or something to host that. But, on the other hand, there is still the cost then to the bandwidth that is not being figured into any of that. They're passing that cost along to the ISP and making them eat it.
Right.
So, I don't know. This was not what I wanted to spend the whole show talking about. Now the show's almost over.
It's fascinating though, you know, I mean, it really is. We'll see what happens again.
I also heard someone on one of the shows going off on, Anonymous and them buying those masks and the mask purchase supporting Time Warner and some of the other, and I don't know who owns it. I thought Disney owned the rights to that mask, but maybe
I thought
Time Warner or whatever. But then he's saying that they own all the news stations and stuff. I don't think so. You know, Time Warner Cable, just so you know, is divested completely from every other part. They've sold all the parts off. Time owned a bunch of publications like DC Comics and, let me think of some of the other entities, because I used to go to their job search all the time and all the companies would drop down. HBO they owned and a couple others.
Disney, maybe?
No, they didn't own Disney. But they're not the owners of all the media. So I want to make a correction to that. You know, maybe there are some entities, I know, like Time Magazine, HBO, DC Comics. Trying to think, a couple of there was one of the ESPN was one of, no, I'm talking about who were owned by the whole Time Warner entity before they all divested. Right. Now they cut all the pieces apart. AOL was a part of them.
Right.
They were AOL Time Warner.
Yeah.
But that's not NBC, ABC, CBS, you know what I mean? So I don't know where he came out with that. And if you saw at the very end of the show, I never got to the story, but it was about these new 3D printed masks that, get around the facial recognition software. I mean, if that was ever a problem, someone spent $1,200 on a printer, download the template for those masks and start selling them. Right? There you go.
Exactly.
Whatever. I just hate when I hear people saying stuff that's not true.
Yeah.
It's not good. I mean,
no,
come on.
For anything that's a provider or, related in that way, or what company is in bed with who from the technical side of things. Right. That was something I paid a lot of attention to for a lot of years, you know. You always had to know who owned who and where you wanted to buy stock.
and also you have to understand it that way so that you know, like, who's pulling all the strings here. I mean, cause
or who you wanted to go work for because they had better benefits.
Well, yeah, I mean, to find out who owns something, you have to go way down the rabbit hole anymore because they have so many arms out there and different things. I know I've tried to find the owners of a few, who owns the original company anymore, and you dig and dig. It
gets convoluted.
Oh yeah.
Well, if they're public, it's not. If it's public, that's all public information. If they're traded on the stock exchange, they gotta give you everything, including their firstborn, you know? But, if it's a private company, good luck. Then you're gonna be digging through, like, clerk records.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how about the FBI story?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, alright. Okay. Do you wanna read it? You're better at reading than I am. I mean, I can do it. I'll do it.
I gotta find him.
Oh, I posted it.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. Oh, here. Time Warner. Two formerly separate companies, Warner Communications and Time Inc., along with the assets of, Turner Broadcasting. I remember my sister worked there when they first got purchased. Form the current Time Warner with major operations in film, television, and publishing. Among its subsidiaries are New Line, yes, my sister worked there too, Time Inc., HBO, Turner Broadcasting, the Country, the CW Network, the WB, Warner Brothers, Kids WB, Cartoon Network. Oh yeah, all those. I was thinking, how great would it be to go work for Adult Swim? You'd have to move to like Georgia though. Cartoon Network, Boomerang, Adult Swim. Oh, CNN is, DC Comics, Warner Brothers Animation, so probably your Looney Tunes, Cartoon Network Studios, Hanna-Barbera, and Castle Rock Entertainment. So that is very far from owning all of the media divisions. Right. I don't know how much news you're getting from Cartoon Network, but I typically don't.
Well, let's hope not.
So the only one really, you got Time, and you got CNN. I didn't realize CNN was their entity. I don't see that ESPN's there anymore. ESPN used to be in their job drop down when you were looking at jobs.
They just shift these companies around. They're all buying each other's stuff, and they
sliced off a whole bunch. Now Time Warner Cable is no longer a part of this. If you notice, they're not in there. Time Warner Cable was divested to their own company. And now they're up for sale to Comcast. That's that whole thing that...
Yeah, Comcast is...
You don't want Comcast.
No.
I know friends who have worked there, and I've read a lot about Comcast issues with... they're the ones that were experimenting with putting an internet cap on. Mm-hmm. That is going to hurt the internet more than any net neutrality issue. Putting a bandwidth cap on. Because think about it. That's going to hurt even just watching YouTube. That's going to be like having your cell phone that you only pay for, your 10 meg a month or whatever. And when your 10 megs up, you don't get internet anymore.
Right, until next month when you can get,
That's going to put a big damper on, independent audio broadcasting on the internet.
Yep.
Yeah, Australia does that. They put caps on, they have a hell of a time over there. A lot of people I know, they get capped and they can't do anything. There's no, I'll pay extra. No, you don't get anything until the beginning of next month.
Yeah. And so if they really wanted to squash things, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
Damn.
And my thought with this whole, they're waiting for, the FCC to make a ruling as to whether or not the purchase of Time Warner by Comcast would create a monopoly, right? They're looking at whether or not it'll be an antitrust issue.
Right.
But here's my take on this. I still think, personally, that they're going to let it happen. And the reason for that is because now you have one throat to choke. It is one large, massive cable provider. And there are still little ones out there, but that would make the two big boys right now are TWC and Comcast, okay? If they merged, you would have a massive conglomerate for broadband across the U.S. And hey, don't think that they have not been in bed with the feds all this time. A long time ago, I was told, back when I was a tech, that they had a department already in TWC for law enforcement requests. And that's all they did, was give information on users when requested by law enforcement. So that's been going on for at least 15 years.
Well, Microsoft's a big bend over, it's going to happen there.
That's a perfect segue into the next story.
All right. Well,
it's a perfect freaking segue, Jules.
Planning on it. All right.
Well, it was like, woohoo.
Here we go. Yeah, I even forgot what the story was about. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
It's a perfect segue.
Yes. FBI plans crackdown on cybercrime with arrests imminent. Yes, it said arrests imminent.
Mm-hmm.
The Federal Bureau of Investigations will aggressively crack down on cybercrime over the next few weeks, with a bureau official advising the public to anticipate indictments, searches, and multiple arrests. Hey, maybe I should disappear for the week.
Well, maybe we should all just take a road trip or something out in the middle of nowhere.
Road trip.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys something that's odd. And I don't know, Paul looked at me and said, all right, whatever, Joel, but I'm going to tell you, I know for a fact that I didn't do this, and this is why this scares me. I always have my back door open, at least while I'm awake, and it's because it's so freaking hot in here with all these computers. But my back door opens to my deck, and then to the backyard, and I have a fence around my backyard. I live in a little neighborhood, like there's no creepy crawlies usually running around here. But I have an index card box sitting on my desk, and there are so many different things that I have my hands in. There are probably 100 passwords to things, you know, for all the different websites and domains and servers and whatever. So I can't remember all those, and I'm not dumb enough to make them all the same. So I have index cards, and I have them all right in the front of my box, username, password, except what I am smart enough to do is that I have like a large group of them that I use. So I never, if I write them down, I never write the whole thing down. I use X's, and I usually just do like first letter and last letter. You know what I mean? So I'll remember, but anyone who snags it won't get it right off the bat. Maybe if they had some supercomputer, they might get it. So anyway, I was down here 2 days ago until dinner time, as I usually am, trying to get whatever it is I need done by 6 o'clock so I can run upstairs. And then I usually don't come back down here unless I got to forward the phones until later. And if I don't wake up from my nap, then maybe not at all. But I came back down here at, it must have been about 11:30 at night, 2 nights ago. And my back door was open, as usual. No one had been down here for about 5 hours. And I happened to see a big chunk of my password cards, and there's a couple different regions of them, but they're all like grouped together. But there's, you know, all the current stuff, then there's the stuff from the other networks where we used to be, and then there's stuff for other people's stuff that I maintain, all in the back. There was a huge chunk of those pulled out and fanned out.
What?
Right there underneath my microphone. Oh yes, they were like fanned out. And not only that, but in the box, they're always in just one big chunk, right? You know, everything, I like to keep things so all the edges are neat, right? It looks neater. And they're fanned in the box too. Now I can tell you that I would not, I have this anally retentive thing, I would have not have left it that way. So I went upstairs, I woke Paul up, and I was like, hey, did you need to find a password or something for Skype out of my box? He's like, no. I was like, there was a chunk of my cards sitting on the desk, fanned out, and the ones in the box were fanned out. So all I'm saying is, I don't see anything else moved in here. There's nothing missing. You can't see footprints or anything, but I didn't see like the gate open, anything like that. All I'm saying is I did not touch those cards, and I would not have left them that way, and Paul insists that he wasn't down here looking.
No, it's time to set a little booby trap.
I keep my
so that you can
passwords in
tell
my safe.
somebody breaches. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you know what? I bought some of those for my Shit Hit the Fan kit, just the little dumb ones that you put a battery in, and you put them like at a door jamb, so if someone crosses the beam when it's on, it's like this really loud, screechy, massive decibel thing. I should just like put one on the wall inside the back door.
I have loud bells on mine. If somebody opens my door, I hear it throughout the house. They can't open the door without me hearing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the only reason I brought that up is because of this story saying sometime this week.
Yeah.
this is the HQ. This is where it all happens, is in this room. You know what I mean?
Right. That, I don't know, Jules, that is fucked up.
That was weird. You know, and then I was thinking, well, they don't have to take them. They could just have a little pen camera and take all the pictures.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was odd. I can guarantee you I did not leave them out.
It's not like something's out of place. I mean, to actually fan out, that took...
It was out of place and they were fanned out. And I know they were fanned out on the desk for the one chunk, and then they were fanned out in the box. I would not have left them fanned out in the box.
That is crazy shit.
I wasn't down here for 5 hours. I hadn't been looking for passwords.
You know, you
should
got
get
special
you
ops.
should get
I
a
don't,
camera.
you know, it's not being paranoid, but they have special ops, and who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I do
You
have
know?
woods out back too, you know. So you could be hiding in the woods and then
Yeah.
sneak through my back gate. I have a gate that goes to the woods because that's where I take my, my grass clippings and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, we'll see.
Dude,
Time
man.
to go on a
Might be
road
Be
trip.
fun.
careful.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
obviously trying to give you a little message, like, yoo-hoo, here we
Well,
are.
who knows? You know, don't color me.
I
paranoid.
know. I'm freaking out.
Just saying, that's all. I'm just saying it was weird. It was one of those instances that made me go, huh?
Yeah,
I didn't do that.
But hidden cameras too, you know what I
I
mean?
got a camera. I got a streaming camera,
Yeah.
802.11. I think though, I might just order. They have them pretty cheap online. I might just get myself one of those screechy alarms.
It's time for security. You know, you should have some kind of, you know.
Oh, there's security here. I got an alarm system in that, but not if I'm awake, it's not on.
Right. But you're not always downstairs. You know, I think a little camera or something just on the room would be an excellent idea.
Oh,
because
what Jimmy
that-
said, get a teddy bear nanny cam. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but we're
Thing is trying to find a hard drive.
we're talking about clandestine shit on air, so none of this shit's gonna be useful
Yeah.
anymore.
Honestly, you know what? I really don't give two shits anymore if you want to know my personal opinion. I mean, it's not really a secret what I'm doing. My neighbors can hear me out the back door.
Yeah,
but
I
I
got
am pretty
motherfuckers
loud.
can
here.
shoot shit, dude.
I-
That's something else.
If you're gonna
Having
do
mother-
this, you
having
can't be
people in your
scared.
house is
Well,
not cool.
If there was someone in my house, I would be very upset.
Well, somebody
Yeah,
did
that's
that.
an invasion.
Maybe, did your daughter do it? I mean,
No, she's not. She knows she's not allowed out here. There's too many wires and crap everywhere. All right, I want to finish reading the story. So, back to that last sentence with the Bureau official advising the public to anticipate indictments, searches, and multiple arrests. Robert Anderson Jr. told the Reuters Cybersecurity Summit in Washington on Wednesday that the Bureau has revamped its focus. Oh, it was in wait. Robert Anderson Jr. told Reuters Cybersecurity Summit in Washington on Wednesday. Now, it doesn't say if it was Washington, D.C. or Seattle. I'm going to guess it was in Seattle
Right.
because guess what's in Seattle?
Microsoft.
Microsoft Cyber Patrol that's working together with the FBI, all the alphabet agencies, and the police departments all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm gonna guess.
Keep reading. It gets better, actually.
All right. Robert Anderson Jr. told Reuters Cybersecurity Summit in Washington on Wednesday that the Bureau has revamped its focus on cybercrime and will show a, quote, much more offensive side, unquote, to its enforcement efforts soon. There is a philosophy change. If you are going to attack Americans, we are going to hold you accountable. If we can reach out and touch you, we are going to reach out and touch you.
Shit.
And you know, here's the thing though. If you remember last year, Obama came out and Panetta came out and they had said that hacking is considered an act of war, if you remember that. And that's really when
Right.
they like ramp everything up.
Yep, NDAA comes to mind.
That's right.
FBI Director James Comey appointed Anderson as the Executive Director of Cyber Enforcement at the Bureau in March, putting him in charge of international operations and critical incident response, among other duties. Before taking his current post, Anderson oversaw counterintelligence and espionage investigation at the FBI and seems to have brought that mentality to his current responsibility. Oh,
Of course.
aren't we proud of you?
So, international operations and critical incident response. That's his freaking job title. So, what happens? Some girls get kidnapped in Africa and, oh, we gotta go because it's a critical incident in an international operation.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when did the FBI go?
I know, we were just
External.
asking that.
That's
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
because it's in my job title, it's part of our job now.
Yeah,
So
international operations and critical incident response.
So just having that freaking job description in your title or whatever, that gives you precedence and authority to go running around the entire world? Into the Ukraine and everything?
You
Come on.
think so?
Bastards.
Sounds
What
like
the hell's the matter?
Well, they're gonna use this to go after copyright infringements.
Hell yeah.
See, and I gotta tell you, I'm still having issues, guys, with copyrighted stuff in YouTube, and I'm gonna tell you, there was a bill that was on the docket looking at putting teeth in the copyright bill. I don't know where that's at, but we read about it about 9 months ago, where because they said that the threat of the fine, whatever that fine is at the beginning of all the movies that says if you duplicate this and break,
Right.
it's $1 million or, $100,000 and 20 years in jail. That apparently isn't enough teeth. So they want to make it a felony first offense.
Jeez.
Now, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. That's like life in prison for shoplifting. But
Right.
on the other hand, hey, I wouldn't put anything past these bastards, and they got all the money of all these big movie and record agencies behind them, crying the blues, going, oh, we're being victimized.
And they're
Right.
using our taxes to attack us. That's
Yeah.
Well, that's
even
the way it
worse.
is everywhere.
Yeah, man.
All right, entering a little bit more on this. In explaining recent examples of the Bureau of Cyber Enforcement, Anderson mentioned the case of Dmitry Belorusov, a Russian hacker accused of operating a botnet that targeted an estimated 7,000 Americans. Which to me, in the world of the internet, that's pretty small potatoes.
yeah.
Belorusov was arrested at a Spanish airport, and after an extradition battle between the U.S. and Russia, he's been ordered to stand trial in the U.S. Anderson warned that the Bureau will not hesitate to charge foreign suspects accused of committing crimes in countries that refuse to extradite to the U.S. The FBI has traditionally been reluctant to do so, he said, to avoid embarrassment to other nations. There's a lot of countries that will not extradite, he told Reuters. That will not stop us from pressing forward and charging those individuals and making it public. The new aggressive policy is likely to lead to a slew of new arrests, Anderson continued, adding that Belorusov would be a relatively minor target compared to some of the suspects the FBI is currently investigating. Other hackers could benefit from Bureau leniency if they choose to cooperate. Yeah, because
Of
none
course.
of the hackers, there was a clip that I don't know if we ever got a chance to play, but it was about why none of the hackers are going to work for the NSA, even though they're out there
Good.
recruiting them all the time. But that's how they do it.
Yeah,
They catch them and then they threaten them with life in prison or you come work for us.
exactly.
Hector Monsignor, founder of the Lusic hacker group, perhaps better known as Sabu, has seen his sentencing hearing delayed multiple times in exchange for helping the government infiltrate high-value foreign targets. Anderson,
Snitch.
well, if you were in that situation, they're probably threatening him with needle nose pliers and a blowtorch.
I know.
So, I wouldn't be calling him snitch unless you were in his shoes. I don't know. I mean, what are they doing? Are they waterboarding him? Who knows? You're an enemy combatant at that point. You
Well,
understand
they can
that,
threaten
right?
you with the rest of your life behind bars. Even,
Well,
you
that
know.
puts you under NDAA, right? It's an act of war.
Exactly.
It's
Yep.
an
That's
act
right.
of war. So
An act
they
of
could
war.
be doing anything, and who knows even where this guy is housed or how he's being treated. So I wouldn't be calling him snitch unless,
No, but that's what they want to make all of us.
Well,
do.
they do want to, and they're going to force it. They're going to force it, and that's what they want to do. Anderson refused to say how many former suspects are now on the FBI's payroll, but Jim Lewis, a senior fellow with the Center for Strategic and International Studies, told journalists Jim Fankel and Joseph Menn that the agency relies on more outside help than ever before, with perhaps as many as a dozen hackers. That's not what I read. I read the NSA had like 1,200.
Yeah, they
Right.
a dozen my
A
ass.
dozen hackers. Come on. Along with the tried and true distributed denial of service attacks and attempts at identity theft, experts have warned that cybercrime will become much more serious over the next decade. Yeah, especially as Microsoft conveniently decides to discontinue support for Windows XP that was on 95% of banking ATMs, right? Oh, what a coincidence that is. And Microsoft opens their new Cyber Patrol Center that Bill Gates decides he's stepping back in to take part-time control over. Hey, of course cybercrime would be a growth business model. Bill Gates knows how to make money.
That's right.
Yeah. He's like, hey, it's the new military industrial complex. We're just going to call it the cyber industrial complex, and I'll make us all money. Give me the reins.
The next paragraph here is one of those key kind of paragraphs to listen to, people. So listen up.
Future threats could include potential cyber assault on new vehicles. Yes, just as they're getting ready to roll out the Google self-driving car, they can make the determination that killing you kills less people than killing everyone in oncoming traffic.
That's right.
The home appliances that poison your milk. I said that, but hey.
Don't give him ideas. Don't give him ideas.
Or entertainment devices that can count how many people are in your living room to make sure that you are being billed appropriately for watcher licenses, as well as more dangerous ransomware attacks that victimize online finances. Yeah, or what about just like plain old school viruses? I saw that one that was, it like took your hard drive, put it into a zip file, and then held it for ransom.
Right, and you had to pay them to get the code to get it unlocked.
To unzip it. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Hackers recently targeted Target, obtaining data from as many as 110 million customers. Yeah, and you know what? That then turned into, oh, you know what? Our credit cards are insecure. Let's go with a new way. Oh, maybe using biometrics or something of that nature, RFID. To make these credit cards more secure. Yeah, that was convenient too. Ed Lowry, a special agent for the Criminal Investigations Unit of the U.S. Secret Service. Oh, hey, we haven't heard of them in a while. Where have they been hiding?
Well, they've been partying in hotel rooms and getting hookers and stuff.
Oh, right! Dark scandals. I forgot about that.
Right.
Ed Lowry. Oh, yeah, and getting drunk on the taxpayer dime. Ed Lowry, a special agent for the Criminal Investigation Unit of the U.S. Secret Service, which also investigates cybercrime. Hey, it's a free-for-all. It's called job security, people.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what this is. Said the public should expect more incidents like this. Yes, because we're planning them. To occur before organizations learn about their vulnerabilities. And remember, too, not long before this article, there were a few stories that we had read about how corporate America, you are so insecure and your data's insecure and these hackers are just so smart now that you can't do anything about it. And so we need to have a partnership between private and government for cybersecurity, as all those CEOs at the end of the year went and met with Obama.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Bend over, here it comes. None of your information is private. If you are a corporation and you are not going to play ball, I am sure they're going to take you out of business. Some of those NSA hackers will probably be given your IP addresses.
Yes.
To give you a horrible cyber attack. So then you come crying, we need your help. We just lost all of our financial data.
Yep.
See this? This is just so utter absolute bullshit.
It's total. And they're coming after.
That's why, you know what? I should just go back and get my security certification and go back into business. You know how much money is raining out of the sky right now?
Oh, hell yeah.
This is gonna be like the late 90s was for computers, where money was falling from the sky and Microsoft was at the helm. Well, guess what? They're back at it and they're gonna make money fall from the sky again.
That's right.
I want to be a part of that.
In the form of
I want to be holding a big basket as the money's falling from the sky. Yeah. So anyway, the last paragraph is, what we have seen is a change in the sophistication of hackers and attack vectors, he told eWeek.com. These are professional criminals, and they study their victims, and they are looking for vulnerabilities that they can exploit.
Really? Do you think?
Well,
you think the FBI doesn't do that? I think that's what the FBI does.
There have always been hackers out there, okay? It's not like hackers just appeared. They like to make out that they are very organized hackers. I think some of the organizations could be. Any of those Slavic states, former Soviet Union states, there seems to be a lot of cybercrime coming out of there. We actually had a few hacks from countries over there when I was e-business director. We actually thwarted those and watched them attacking our server. But I don't know how huge they are. I would say China's another big one, you know, but a lot of it is all funded by the Chinese government.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think that they are making this more widespread than it necessarily really is, because they want to be able to capitalize on all of it.
Right, and
Well,
they're
look,
the ones
what does
behind the
it take-
freaking attacks in the first place.
What
They're
does
the
it
ones.
take for people to panic? All they have to do is put something out there that there's this bad virus. I mean, a lot of it I don't pay attention to unless I hear someone who's personally had it happen to them, because it puts everybody in a panic, you know, and we're wide open to whatever they want to do.
Well, it also, you know, you'll more than likely install some new patch or update if they tell you like how
There you go.
vulnerable you are, which of course we've already read in some investigations that have been done that a lot of that stuff is spyware that's been written for the government.
Yep. I mean, I haven't done any updates on any of my Windows on any of these machines in almost a year and a half, and I've never had a problem with a virus or anything. You know, I don't know what Microsoft is putting in my machine every week, and so I stopped a long time ago, and they all seem to be running fine. So
Mine aren't. Mine are
Yeah.
messed up like every single day, just about.
Yeah, but is that the cause? You know, I mean, there's so many things that, you know, computers can do. But I mean, what I'm saying is, you know, all those patches, I got leery of it a long time ago when after they would give me an update, then I would have problems. I'd have to go in and try and fix these things that, you know, and you get up, but because look at, he been over a long time ago, and what he puts in your machine every week, you don't know. You know, you're giving them full control. I mean, they turn your computer on, they turn it off, they update it. So I guess it's everyone on their own, like whether you trust Microsoft to do that and come into your machine or.
No,
I
you
don't
don't. Why would
Yeah.
you?
But every week people do. They give them full permission to update and you know. I mean, like Wendy, she goes, if she turns off her machine, she won't be able to use it for a while because when it comes back on, they're going to have you sitting there for 40 minutes while they're loading who knows what into your machine.
Right.
But even an antivirus, I mean, who are these companies that are making these
Right.
antivirus definitions,
Exactly.
you know?
A lot of them are producing the viruses.
Well, I don't know about that, but they could be.
They've
I
been
think
caught.
so.
A few companies have been caught doing that, but
I think so.
yeah, you know.
All right, here, I'm going to play this again. I played it 1,000 times, but I like playing it because it's an exclamation.
Every year, criminals are getting more sophisticated in figuring out how to exploit the internet for purposes of doing harm to others.
These guys are really sophisticated. They're technology oriented.
Is everything from malicious code and computer viruses to child pornography and human trafficking to software counterfeiting, internet piracy, advertising fraud, click fraud.
Anything you can think of that makes money, these guys are involved.
It's a lot of different sorts of sinister activities that victimize people all over the world.
Cybercrime is a truly global crime, a transnational crime in nature. That is different from what used to be.
There's no set boundary for where they might come from, and there's no set boundary for where they might attack. A lot of it is target of opportunity, wherever they can find a toehold, especially if it's financially motivated.
The techniques of the adversaries keep getting more sophisticated. It doesn't cost much to attack. It costs a lot to defend.
Given the migration of so much of our important work, our personal information to the cloud, you have to have a level of commitment by a company like Microsoft to protect computer users. The Cybercrime Center is one tangible example of our commitment.
I think that we are at a critical moment in time. In part, it's because the problem is getting worse. Now, at the same time, our technology is getting much more sophisticated, and it was clear this was the time to make sure that we harness the power of that technology so that we have the most powerful ability in the world to fight crime on the internet.
Well, the Cybercrime Center is a place, a global headquarters for our worldwide digital crimes unit that is fighting cybercrime around the world. It's a place where our most talented lawyers, intelligence specialists, investigators work together here with law enforcement and industry partners to combat cybercrime and investigate real cybercrime cases every minute of every day. That includes mapping capabilities, it includes malware detection capabilities, all sorts of cutting-edge forensic techniques that allow us to detect, monitor, and investigate the cybercriminals.
No nation or no international or the regional organizations can fight against cybercrime alone. We need global alliance.
Where there are
global
guys in one country doing damage in another country, our ability to have a global footprint and be able to interact with law enforcement in all these different countries is essential.
It's vital that we have a set of relationships where people can come in and work together and not work at the speed of government or even at the speed of business, but at the speed of cyber.
If you worked alone, what you would see is these complex networks. You would take down one site and another one would pop up. So it essentially becomes a game of whack-a-mole. Instead of doing that, we're able to work with Microsoft and make really lasting, impactful change by taking down things on a much larger scale because they have the visibility and the expertise to do that.
Ultimately, though, everybody's vulnerable.
I think it's very exciting, this development of this Microsoft Cybercrime Center with the technology, having it being 24/7. I think that's the type of response that we need as a society.
Cyber defense is a team sport, and everybody has to be involved. We have to work together. So it has to be a private sector, it has to be a public sector, it has to be international.
To clearly name specific unit in Microsoft as Cybercrime Center, it's an obvious sign to law enforcement that Microsoft is serious about cybercrime, that Microsoft is serious to work with law enforcement.
All right, so that's it. We're going to run out of time, but did you hear that? They're going to do it with local, with international, with police, with alphabet agencies. That's why, cybercrime to me, until just a few years ago, it really was a non-issue. Viruses are probably the worst you got, and it just exploded everywhere conveniently.
Right when they declared it a war.
Yeah, they did, right when they declared a war. Hey, I want to remind everybody, support UCY and visit some of our wonderful sponsors on our page. That would really help us out a lot. Make sure you stick around for Friday evening radio. It's always a great night. Thank you, ladies, for being on today, because it is Friday. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Take care. Well, maybe we'll catch you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a great Friday. Drink some beer.
Spread the love and party.